Hi, welcome to Unplugged with Eraldo. We have an amazing show for you today. But first, I have a very special co-host. Darren Karp is back with us. And many of you are familiar with the national TV personality Darren Karp. She has been seen covering red carpet events for Bravo TV. Darren is also the host of the Oxygen podcast, Martinis and Murder. And she is Andy Cohen's chief of staff. Darren, it is great to have you again on the show.
It's nice to be back. I like that you emphasize the murder. I do that all the time.
You like that, right?
Yeah, I run from high and low, pop culture and death. It's really my forte. But good to be back with you.
So what's going on? Anything new, really quickly? Or?
Oh my gosh, yeah, we're going to South by Southwest for my podcast. Very excited. Wow. We have a murder festival in New York City that we're going to be promoting.
Oh, that is
Lots
so
of stuff
much fun.
in the murder world for me.
Murder world for you.
And my boss just had a baby, so
I know.
I'm an aunt now. I'm an aunt. I got to learn how to parent, and then I'll be fine. It's a lot on my plate.
It's a lot, right?
Yes.
Well, you can handle it.
I can handle it.
All right, our first guest is real estate mogul and real husband of New Jersey, Joe Gorga. Yes, I said real husband of New Jersey.
Joe is, of course, one of the stars of Bravo's hit series, The Real Housewives of New Jersey. I know it well. And the author of the soon-to-be-released book, The Gorga Guide to Success. Welcome,
Hey,
Joe.
How are you? What's going on, man?
How are you? Nice
How are
What's
you?
going on? How are you?
Everything's
I get the
good.
title right of your book?
You got it right.
You
got
barely
it right.
knew it, so I wanted to make sure that I didn't mess it up.
No, you did it good. You did good.
How did you decide to write a book?
You know, no one really knows me. You see me on TV for about a minute a week, right? And that's all you really know about me. And everybody on Instagram hits me up and says, "Listen, wow, you do it in real estate. How do you do it? You got all this money. You made your money through reality TV." No, I didn't.
Yeah.
I made my money through hard work. You know, I was 9 years old. I started work when I was 9.
Wow.
You imagine that? 9 years old. I had a full-time job working 4 o'clock in the morning delivering newspapers. And I had to be at school by 7:30. And then after school, I went and worked at a restaurant and worked till 11 o'clock at night and did it all over at 9.
Yeah.
Drove my bike to work and school and 9, 10, 11, 12. And, you know, and I started, my father was like really my role model. My father didn't leave me a trust account and didn't give me millions of dollars. He was a shoemaker.
Right.
But you know what? He taught me how to be a man and how to go to work and respect women and respect everything in life. No matter what you do, respect people and be humble. And listen, I just want to tell everybody my story.
That is attributed to your success now, even in real estate. I'm sure that
And
it's all about personal relationships as well.
It's all about personal relationships, and it's all about being a man, number one, you know?
Right.
How I did it in real
know.
estate. Yeah, you wouldn't know, but
it's
all about...
Harold,
you know about that,
I know,
right?
yes.
I don't know. Wow.
So tell us how you got into real estate then.
Yeah.
Well, how I got into real estate, I started out, you know, I went to college on a football scholarship. I got hurt. I couldn't play anymore, so I came back. I had to go to work. My parents couldn't pay for college. I didn't have any money.
Right.
So I had to find a job. I started working for a landscaper. 6 months later, I opened my own business.
Wow.
And
Wow.
yeah,
6 months.
6 months. I just
Oh,
opened
my
my own
God.
business. I went out and I took a loan on my sister's credit card, Teresa Judice.
Oh.
Or Teresa Gorga at the time.
That explains
Now the picture comes
Yeah.
through, right?
Now I know why all the family drama.
No,
Okay,
no,
so she's
no,
not
no,
letting
no.
you live that down,
No, no.
basically.
So I said to my sister, I had no one else. I said to my sister, she just started making it in life, you know. She had 3 credit cards, I think like $5,000 each. I said, I want to buy this little landscaping business.
Right.
And she, as my older sister, she backed me up. I maxed out all 3 credit cards. And I went and bought this, you know, Sanford and Son,
Sanford and Son.
beat up equipment, old truck, 1970 truck. And I went to work. And I went to work really hard, and it explains it in my book how I did it. I mean, for 4 months, I didn't even have a truck. I was riding around on a lawnmower.
Wow.
And so I went from there, and I just worked the hard way.
Right.
And I got into my first flip with no money. I negotiated the way to buy a house with no money.
So that's what you talk about in your book,
I
then,
talk
right?
about it in my book, yeah. See, everybody thinks you need money in real estate, but if you have a good deal, there's always a way to get around it, and you got to know how to negotiate. And most relationships are done of who you are.
Right.
It's not about money.
Right.
If people feel good with you and you find a good deal and you know how to negotiate, I did 10 deals without any money.
Wow.
Without any money.
How do you choose your properties to like flip and sell? Like, how do you know what's a good property for you?
You know, if you got to think about it and you got to do the numbers more than 15 minutes, it's a bad deal. you have to know instantly.
Okay.
That's how
an
real
instinct,
estate is.
right?
It's an instant thing. You go look at the deal. You know the area, how much the rent is, or what it's going to flip, the comps. You know within 5 minutes. But if you have to sit there and work the numbers, it's not the deal for you. I move on. I cherry pick the deals.
Right.
There's millions of houses out there, but I do very few deals that make 100% profit.
So how long have you been in your business then? How long has it been?
25 years.
25 years.
Yeah, 25
So
years.
obviously that
Doesn't
is
look a day
work.
over
He
30
looks
though,
amazing.
right? Come
You
on.
look
You
amazing.
We're
by the way.
Italian, right?
Yeah.
Hey, you know,
don't
the Italian
age.
blood
Yeah.
works. You know, sometimes
You
it
don't
definitely
age.
works.
We don't age.
So tell us about your wife, Melissa, then. How's she doing?
Oh, she's great, man. You know, listen, even in the book, we went through some hard times, Melissa. I
Right.
married,
Yeah.
when I met my wife, I knew she was the one. I mean, I fell in love with her instantly.
Instantly, right?
Instantly. I mean, she was,
No numbers, no
I was
nothing,
going to say,
right?
it took
Nothing.
15
No
minutes or
numbers,
less.
no
to
numbers,
really
no
get the
nothing.
numbers.
it took seconds to know that she was
Yeah.
going to be my
She was the
wife.
one.
And I mean, real estate's hard. You're up, you're down.
Correct.
Market changes, and you know, when I met her, I gave her a beautiful life. And then in 2007, 8, market went down.
Right.
I mean, she had the black Amex card. She lived in a mansion. She had cars.
Right.
You know, she spent anything she wanted. But when the market crashed, and I was involved in 30 different deals, I gave her $100 a week. I go, here, that gets you gas, pays you.
Wow.
We eat with that,
Can you
your
imagine
diapers
that?
for the kids, and that's all you got. And you know what? She stood by my side, and she rode the wave. It took us about 4 or 5 years to get out of that. And listen, that's what made her an amazing wife. She stood by my side.
Now let me ask you, Jersey reunion's coming up.
Yeah.
How'd she do? What can you tell us? Did she hold her own?
I tell you, listen.
Did she battle it out with your
These-
sister?
Hold on, these Gorgas are tough.
Yeah, man, I
They're
know.
tough.
They're tough. They've been in the real estate business for 25 years.
that's
They're,
right.
they're nuts.
So I show up to the reunion, and everybody comes out running to me. They said, what's the matter with Teresa? She went crazy on Melissa. I said, what? Out of nowhere. I don't know what happened. So I can't tell you too much, but did Melissa hold her own? Yes.
Okay.
Wow.
And you stuck by your wife.
Stuck by your wife.
I had to.
Yes,
what
of
am I going
course.
to do? I got to go
Man.
lay in bed with her. I'm not laying in bed with my sister.
I'm
Joe,
so
man,
excited.
you got to go, brother.
You got it.
Thank you so
so
much.
much. I
Appreciate
learned
having
so
you
much.
on the show.
Thank you.
got it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, guys, still to come, we have Michael Reagan, son of President Ronald Reagan.
Michael will be joining us to discuss the Reagan Legacy Foundation and Walkway to Victory. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. Joining me via Skype from Los Angeles is Michael Reagan, president of the Reagan Legacy Foundation. And thank you for joining us, Mr. Reagan. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, no problem. Let's delve right into it. Let's talk about the Reagan Legacy Foundation, if you could.
Reagan Legacy Foundation I began back in early 2000 as a way to offer scholarships to the men and women who serve aboard the USS Ronald Reagan, who's now stationed in Tokyo, Japan. It's moved from there to Berlin, where we opened the Ronald Reagan exhibit, the Checkpoint Charlie Museum, on the 20th anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall. And now we've moved to France, if you will, to St. Mary Glees, Normandy, France. St. Mary Glees, first town freed by America, 4 a.m. in the morning of D-Day. And we're working with them on a walkway to victory to honor those who served in the Second World War in the European theater.
Wow. Great. Let's talk about Walkway to Victory, if you could.
Well, Walkway to Victory is a plan. If you go online to walkwaytovictory.com, you can order a brick and put the name of a loved one or someone you know who served in the Second World War during the Second World War in the European theater. And what we do is we put that brick in the ground. So all the walkways through the Airborne Museum area are going to be bricked in with names of those who served, who helped save the world that time during the Second World War. And then the money from there goes to the Airborne Museum and back to the Reagan Legacy Foundation to offer scholarships to the men and women aboard the USS Ronald Reagan.
That's awesome. That is great to hear. What events have you held in conjunction with Walkway to Victory?
Well, the things that we do with the Walkway to Victory, we build a Ronald Reagan exhibit there at in Normandy, France. We put that in a couple of years ago. We have a video that we put out, 55-minute video, the history of World War II, the heroes of World War II, if you will. So we're very busy with the foundation doing things to honor those who served now today on my dad's ship and those who served in the Second World War.
Right. So how big is the walkway right now? How can you tell me like a rough estimate how big it is?
I think we probably have somewhere in the neighborhood of 400 to 500 bricks put in.
Wow.
We just started this last April. And so people, as I said, can go online, and we're putting another group of bricks in as we speak. There's another order in to put more bricks in. So when people go visit St. Mary Glees, by the way, that's where all the paratroopers were headed on the morning of D-Day.
Right.
That's where they were going.
Yes.
And so if you saw any of the movies, that's where the paratroopers were going. And so when you go to St. Mary Glees and visit the Airborne Museum, you'll see this walkway with all these bricks with these names in them. It's really the 101st and 82nd Airborne's Gettysburg, if you will.
Right. And people, they can go online to order the bricks, or?
They can go online to walkwaytovictory.com. They go to the website ReaganLegacyFoundation.org, see what we're doing, order a brick, and it'll be put in.
Wow. So the foundation, I know that it has a special meaning for the veterans. So talk to me a little bit about the special meaning that it has with the veterans.
Well, it's a special meaning with the veterans because of what we're doing. I mean, you have these veterans who served the Second World War who are dying in the hundreds every single day. And we've got to remember them. And what's sad is I started this program because I played golf with a young man a few years ago, 28 years old. When I told him I was headed to Normandy to raise the flag at the American cemetery, he didn't know why there was an American cemetery at Normandy, France.
Wow.
I mean, we do not educate our youth anymore about the past history of the United States of America and the world. And that's really sad. So, to be able to remember these veterans and have their names, put in stone in these areas of the world is so important to them and their loved ones and to the history of the United States of America. We've got to teach our history, and we forgot to do that.
Right. How long has the foundation been now in existence?
We've been in existence since about 2001, 2002, when we christened the USS Ronald Reagan in Norfolk. And it's been going ever since. As I said, it started as a scholarship program. We provide $1,000 scholarships to men and women who serve on the ship. We provide $2,000 scholarships to the loved ones who are left back home, who in fact are trying to better their education as their loved one serves on my dad's aircraft carrier. So it's really important to them that we're helping family members as well as we're helping those on the ship. And that started first. And then, of course, we went into Berlin and opened up a Ronald Reagan exhibit at the Checkpoint Charlie Museum.
We have about 30 seconds. I have a last question I wanted to ask you. Can you share with our viewers something about our late former President Ronald Reagan that you can share with our audience?
If you ever sat next to my father in a special dinner, state dinner, and you wanted to talk politics with him, he wouldn't talk politics with you. He would tell you when he used to be the announcer at WHO in Des Moines for the Chicago Cubs. And he had Dizzy Dean on the mound, Tony Lazier at the plate, 3-2 on the batter, and the ticker tape went dead. And he had Tony Lazier foul off 11 pitches while the ticker tape was dead. And he found out when it went live that Tony Lazier had fouled out on the next pitch, but somebody wrote the Guinness Book of World Records think it was the longest at-bat in history, and found out later it wasn't the longest bat in history. It made up those 11 pitches because he had to kill time while the ticker tape was dead.
Oh, my Lord. Mr. Reagan, it was an honor to have you on. Continue with the good work, and hopefully we'll get to see you soon, okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
All
Good
right.
to see you.
Okay, guys, don't go anywhere. After the break, we're going to chat with the producers and creators of the Philly-based TV show Oldhead, the series. Stick around.
We're back. Joining us is Tony Chennault from the hit digital TV show Oldhead, the series, to chat about the influences and the story behind the creation of the show.
Hi, Tony.
Welcome,
How are you, man?
Tony.
Thanks for having
What's
me.
going on? Good handshake. I like it. I like it. Tell me what Oldhead is. I'm not familiar.
So Oldhead is a story that I created back in 2014 after graduating from Villanova University. So I created Oldhead to kind of shed light on some of the issues that go in the inner cities and talk about the importance of having an old head. I'm someone who didn't have their father in their life growing up, but I had neighborhood old heads, whether it's mentors, sports coaches that kind of led me down the right path to success. And it's more like kind of like a call to action to bring back the right mentors to the community.
So Tony, I have watched your video countless times. I can't stop watching your video. And by the way, guys, take a look at this video. It's amazing. It's an amazing story what you went through, and it touched me really deeply.
Yes.
So tell our viewers exactly what happened, what transpired on your way to becoming an NBA star, right?
So yeah, so before I became this filmmaker director, I had big aspirations of playing in the NBA. I grew up playing basketball, but you know I had some personal tragedies. I lost my brother Mike, who was like a father figure in my life, as an innocent bystander in the shooting back in 2012. Then a year later, my mom died in 2013. She had a seizure. So those two incidents kind of just made my whole trajectory of life just changed drastically to let me know that life is bigger than sports, and I wanted to do something that was more meaningful, more impactful, that I could leave behind a legacy that when I'm long gone, that my work will stand the test of time.
Wow.
And do you write the show yourself?
Yes,
Like,
I'm one of the writers.
Wow.
So we have a group of 5 writers that write the show. They all come from different perspectives of life, which is great for the show, and yeah.
So you started Oldhead in what year you started?
2014 we started.
So in 2014. So you've been doing it ever since then?
Yes, we've been doing that ever since then, and we have other projects we're working on too as well. We have a feature film that we're going to be shooting this summer that we're really excited about.
Wow.
And you know, we want to be a big time film company, and we plan to bring a lot of big time productions to Philadelphia.
Are you looking to be an old head for the younger generation?
Well, I consider myself an old head in the sense that I'm somebody that younger kids in my community seek out information from.
Yeah.
And just using my life as a testament that, like, you know, we're much more than your circumstances, to dream bigger than your circumstances. That, you know, I come from a place where one decision or a mistake could cost you your life or freedom, but having the ability to move past that and doing something positive. I think young people see that as a positive influence in their life.
So why do you think there's such a disconnect between the young kids and the adults? Or
I just think sometimes younger kids don't feel like hip, meaning it's cool how older people may present information to them, but if they see somebody who's actually cool and doing something really fun and dope, which is mean cool,
Right.
I think they take heed to the information, and they see that in myself.
I know, I sort of wish schooling happened later in life, because I would have paid more attention in my 20s than I ever did in my teens, and
Right.
probably would have been better when I had that maturity.
Yes.
What kind of feedback have you gotten? Like, what's like the best story you've ever gotten from a fan of Oldhead?
Well, I mean, we went to a juvenile detention center about a year ago, and
Oh,
you know, some of these kids in their teenage years are, you know, facing serious charges, and some of these kids just were really moved by the story because it's a story that they can resonate with. It's something authentic to them, and through these characters, they see themselves or people they know in their community.
Right.
Wow, I mean, it's just amazing how you're able to connect with them. That's the amazing part. That's what baffles me, because sometimes it's so hard, right? So what I would like for you to do, and we talked about this before, is that I want you to look at the camera over there, and I want you to talk to them again. Show us a little bit of that connection that you have with the kids.
Well, like I said, Oldhead, this series, our 3rd season is coming out. This is much more than a film project. It's a project that's bringing people together from all walks of life. It's something that speaks authentically to people all across, you know, the country, specifically in the inner cities of America. Make sure you guys subscribe to our YouTube page, Oldhead the Series, and follow us on Instagram, Oldhead PDX. Thank you.
Wow, I'm touched.
That was amazing.
That was. Where do you see the series going? Like, where do you want it to launch off to?
That's a great question. I just want to keep growing. I want to keep growing with the actors. I want to keep growing with the people I'm working with, and I think sky's the limit. I think Oldhead is not a Philadelphia thing. It's a universal thing, and I want to bring it to other cities, and that's our plan.
You said you shot in New York City, right?
Yes, we shot.
All right, so you're expanding.
Of course.
So New York City, we added a New York City storyline, and then for season 4, we plan to add the Atlanta and Atlantic City one as well too.
I think we see a star here.
I think we do.
I think we see a star in the making here.
Before we go, I just want to know, because you're such a light for, you know, the younger generation, what's the best piece of advice you have for them?
Just follow your heart. My mom always should have told me, like, just follow your heart. If your heart's involved in what you're doing, no matter what the adversity or obstacles going to be in your way, you're going to find a way to fight through it.
Wow, Tony.
Thank you
an
so
honor having you,
much.
man.
Really
Pleasure.
appreciate
Good luck
it.
to
That
you.
is
Thank
so
you.
magical.
Okay.
Stay with us. After the break, we have an expert who will be giving us the top 5 things that everyone needs to know before starting a business. So all of you entrepreneurs out there, get ready to take notes.
We are back. Joining us is the author of The Untold Truth About Building a Startup. 17 lessons every entrepreneur needs to know.
Well, I definitely know it. Well, if there's 17 lessons, we better get started. Joining us is Jilea Hemmings, CEO and co-founder of Tyme. That's with a Y. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for being here, Jilea.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
We have so much to unpack because 17 reasons
17
is a lot. What inspired you to write a book? Let's start there.
Sure. So I've always been interested in entrepreneurship from when I was little. My grandfather started the first soda bottling company in Jamaica.
Oh, really?
And I know, right? Super cool. And then my dad has run his own law firm for the last 20 years. So
Wow.
I grew up seeing,
Runs in your blood.
it runs in my blood for sure.
Yeah.
But I started my career in corporate America. I actually started in the pharmaceutical space. And prior to starting in that arena, they had never historically had layoffs before. And a couple of years in, it started to be layoffs every single year, right? So it got to be a little scary because at that point I already had my first child who had recently been diagnosed with autism. And I started to learn like the importance of diet. And I said, wow, okay, so healthy eating is extremely important, especially for children and especially with children on the spectrum. So I was like, how am I gonna do this? I'm a busy mom. I mean, this is gonna be really tough. But a lot of my girlfriends also had the same experience as well. And I said, you know what, maybe I should just start to dabble in the kitchen. And I did, and we started making meals that our children liked and started testing it on friends and family. And next thing you know, we had this new brand called Greenie Tots, and it was sold all over the country, and it was really awesome. So that
Which the idea, sorry to interrupt, but that
No.
came to you at the hospital, right?
I
I was like, what?
No, not at the hospital per se, but I mean, like when I was with my second son, I was like, yeah, let's get started. Let's do it right now. You know, now is the time, right? Especially when you were concerned about, you know, my career and if I was going to even have a job, which is really tough, right? That's a tough time to really start a business, but we decided to. And we had a tremendous amount of success there. And then since then, I've, you know, gone into the technology realm with Tyme, where we're starting to help pharmaceutical reps be more optimized with their time when it comes to scheduling with doctors' offices. And then Tyme with the cannabis space, helping just to be the full service e-commerce platform for the space. But one thing that I learned through all of my entrepreneurial journey is that people don't want to share, right? You're asking them, you're like, you know, how did you get so successful? What are some things to avoid? Oh, I've just been successful my whole life. And I just
You know,
exactly. So you're like, you know, I felt it was my duty to share lessons that I've learned because I wish somebody would have told me. Imagine if I would have known this, I could have avoided that pitfall. So I felt that I wanted to pay forward all the lessons I've learned so far so that someone else doesn't have to make the same mistakes.
So how'd you find out then about the lessons then?
How did I find
If nobody told you, then how did you find out?
Right, well, I lived them. So,
So it's your experience.
Right, so I mean, I had to learn the hard way by going through those experiences. Luckily for me, I did have some mentors along the way, but a lot of these experiences I had to go through. But I was like, you know what, everyone shouldn't have to go through all of these. And if I can help to shine some light and give them some perspective to hopefully allow them to avoid those pitfalls, how awesome would that be?
What separates an entrepreneur from everyone else? Like, what's the one quality you need to have to be an entrepreneur?
Wow, I feel like, you know, I'm biased. I feel like everyone has it within them, right? But the one thing I think is that you have to be able to see past and take the first step. I think entrepreneurs tend to be fearless, a little bit more fearless than I would say most.
And you're going to make mistakes.
You're going to make mistakes.
Right.
That's how you learn. That's how you learn. I say that all the time. It's like, you know, we didn't learn how to walk by just, you know, waking up and walking one day. We had to fall, we had to, you know, crawl first and so forth. So the same thing applies, but I find that entrepreneurs have that ability to know that they, you know, they might be scared, but they still are able to move forward. So that's one thing that I would say a lot of entrepreneurs I see possess that trait.
We have about a minute left. I want you to give us some, like, 3 top things that entrepreneurs need to know to be successful.
I got to know, because I got to be
At least
successful.
top
Come on.
Exactly.
In a minute, give me the tools.
The first thing is I feel that you need to start your business based on your purpose, strength, and talents, right? Because I think a lot of times we start businesses because we think they're going to make a lot of money. But the reality is it has to be something that you really are passionate about, because if you're not, then, you know, what's going to keep you there when times get hard? And it does get challenging. Secondly, I would say that you need to understand your worth. That's one of the biggest things that I find, that because you start your business and maybe you want to start getting investment at some point, you might start to feel that the investor has more, you know, of an understanding or more say-so or more clout than you, and you negate the fact that you're the expert in what you decided to create. So know your worth, know your value. And the last thing is really dare to fail up. I feel like so often, so many people decide they want to stop or they don't want to take that step because they're so scared of failing. But that's where you learn, and that's where the true success comes from, is knowing what your what it took to get there. So those would be the three that I would say stand out to me the most.
So Jilea, how's the book doing? Hold it up for us so that people
Sure.
can see. How's the book
Plug that.
doing?
Come
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the Untold Truth. Yeah, so it's doing really, really well. I mean, what people really like about it is that it's raw. It just tells you the raw
Right.
truth. So we do have the business basics within the book, but we do tell you exactly what you need to know and give you gut checks actually at the end of every chapter so you can really see if you're on track.
Jilea, it's been a pleasure to have you on this
Thank
show.
you so
Thank you
much.
so much for
Thank you.
being
We
here.
gotta have you back because I want you to go through every 17 steps
Absolutely,
so I
I
can
would
make
love to.
sense.
I would
Thank
love
you,
to.
Thank
Jilea.
you.
Really
So much.
appreciate it.
All right, guys, thanks again to all of my guests, and a special thank you to my co-host today, Darren Karp, for being here. And thanks to all of you home for watching. Make sure you tune in next time for another great show. And let's continue our conversation on social media at Eraldo McLaren. I look forward to hearing from you. But before we go, please check out this amazing event right here in the Philadelphia area. UDance is a student-run organization at the University of Delaware, which raises funds and awareness for the fight against childhood cancer. Since 2017, UDance has raised over $9 million. It is so wonderful to see people come together for a great cause. Thanks for watching.
The preceding was sponsored by Fitness Training by Eraldo Incorporated.